And we are live. Hey, everybody, this is Roberto Blake. Hope you create something awesome today. Welcome back to another set of channel reviews. It is a Friday the 13th, interestingly enough. So, what we're going to do here is we're going to do some YouTube channel reviews. We're probably not going to do 10 of them tonight. We're probably going to do maybe 5 of them tonight. I'm not really feeling great tonight, but I promised you guys the channel reviews. I want to try and do that. But feeling just a little bit under the weather. Don't know what it is, but we'll power through. We'll do maybe 5 YouTube channel reviews, and of course, the rules are in the description on the YouTube channel as per usual. And until we have our reviews ready and raring to go, what I'll be doing is I will be walking you through some YouTube analytics and giving advice to small channels. I'm one of the only channels that shows you my actual lifetime income and stats from YouTube analytics. I was actually one of the first people to do that. I think back as far as 2015 even. So that's something we try to do here. If you're not familiar with me and my content, I'm Roberto Blake. I've been a content creator for over a decade. I did tech and tutorials, mostly laptop and camera review stuff. I was teaching people photography, video editing, video production, graphic design, doing camera and drone reviews and budget laptop reviews back in the day. Grew myself to 100,000 subscribers before I really started bothering to try to tell anyone how they could grow on YouTube. Back then, there was a point where I went daily for like 3 years. So I grew from 20,000 to 100,000 subscribers in year 3 of taking YouTube seriously with weekly uploads. And then I just went daily in 2015. So from February of 2015 to about May of 2016, about 14 months, I grew from 20,000 to 100,000 subscribers. Then when I kept the daily upload schedule going, I kept that going for like 3 years. I do not recommend it. It is not healthy for most people to do that. So unless you build a team around yourself, probably not a good idea to do that. Unless you have a very, very simple format, you do a daily show, you do a daily live podcast, you do simple, not necessarily easy, but simple to produce commentary, maybe like an Anton Daniels. It's still very hard work, but it won't grind you down the way that editing videos for to get out every day would probably grind you down a lot more, especially if editing is not your thing. So yeah, I just personally, for most people, it will grow you. In most cases, when you get to a decent level and you figured out 10,000, 20,000 subscribers, if someone figures out 10,000, 20,000 subscribers and they figured out how to maintain consistency with a 2 to 3 upload a week schedule, if that person triples down and goes daily, they do tend to grow. I can't swear how fast you will grow, but it tends to compound almost exponentially if you already have that audience. The audience grows. If you respond to every single comment, that's someone who could, maybe not in a year like I did, but in 2 to 3, they could get 100 subscribers a day. They could, in 2 to 3 years, get 100,000 subscribers in a silver play button if they do that. So I can tell you that in many niches, that as long as you could maintain the acceptable quality for your niche and then do that kind of output without a loss in quality, kind of like how, soap operas, they're a Monday through Friday daily show. News and commentary, that's like a daily show, usually Monday through Friday or 7 days a week. Those things don't have to keep chasing quality and spectacle in the way that a Mr. Beast does or some entertainment channels do. Sketch comedy doesn't have to be highly produced. Look at Caleb City. Caleb City's videos, very low production, but very great at the storytelling, and they're not very long. And he just cranks them out, cranks them out. The quantity doesn't hurt him. So, like, a lot of people are very, very over the top when it comes to the idea of quality, and I get where people are coming from, but people overplay the quality and the editing. Like, editing is overrated in YouTube. You will find some of the least edited content. Even some of the biggest creators don't do the editing all the way over the top. But if you can get other things to a high standard of quality, your script writing, your packaging, title, topic, thumbnail, timing, you can do those things. and if you can get the audio, the video, the lighting quality good, that's just tech. That's just tech. If you can get the production good, the quantity consistent, and the baseline of quality is acceptable, and the performance on camera is good, then yeah, if you do quantity, it usually works. That happens for most people who do it. If they've already, not people starting at zero who don't know what a good video is, but if people have gotten 10, 20,000 subscribers, their pathway to a silver play button could be just going Monday to Friday or going 7 days a week with long form content or doing a lot of short form. If you've grown an audience and you know what people like, that's also been proven to work. I know this because I have data from hundreds upon hundreds of channels. I've coached personally over 700 YouTubers now, I think. Yeah, and then this last 2 years, I've coached 100 gaming YouTubers, mostly mobile gamers, with a partnership that I do with Supercell and AMG. So a lot of people who play Clash of Clans, Clash Royale, Brawl Stars, things like that. So I've like looked at the data from hundreds of channels. We've done shorts, live streams, we've done every format. I've coached a channel to a silver play button in each of YouTube's 15 categories. That's not to say every single one of the 185 niches that we're looking at, but the 15 categories that YouTube has that they categorize, in your little drop down menu. We've looked at that. I've helped grow a channel to a silver play button in every one of those. And I've definitely by now helped directly in coaching coach multiple gold play button channels, whether it was growing them to a gold play button or helping a channel that already had a gold play button. Usually with that one's, it's refining something on the business, the brand deal side. We're launching a new workshop, I believe next week, which will focus on the business side of YouTube, brand deals, making money, all that stuff. So, we've got a lot of interesting things that we do here. But we do have a request for a channel review from Courtney Denise. Thank you for the $20 super chat. So she has a commentary channel, something about toxic moms. That sounds like could be interesting. It sounds like the like you ever those reality TV shows that they do on the TLC, what used to be called the Learning Channel. You know how you have those like manager moms, or you have momsters, as in monsters, and their moms, like those momagers, like that wrangle their kid's career and become more obsessed with it than the kid is. Like maybe it's something like that. I guess we're gonna find out together what her channel is all about. So we're going to plug that in, and that's going to be our first review tonight. Should be interesting. And you guys will get to see how we handle the reviews. So we have Courtney Denise, short, funny, educational gossip. Interesting. So this banner actually is doing a couple of things really well design wise. I always try to help you guys with the channel banners. It's actually more important than you might think. So one thing it does well is it is visibly easy to read right off the bat. It does tell you what you can expect. One thing I would like to see more of you do in your banners is, if you have an upload schedule, I'd love for you to just post in the banner somehow, some way, get the upload schedule in there. Say, oh, videos once a week, videos every day, whatever your schedule is. Just so that you could set expectations and a first impression. But visually, this is very good. Recommendation for the profile picture here would be to maybe use some of this pink branding in the profile picture as well. The Hey Cousins line doesn't do anything when you first see it here. I would go with something that once again explains what the channel is about when they hover over it, or even throw your schedule in there in that first line or something like that. So maybe you use this first line instead of the Hey Cousins, because it doesn't do anything at a glance when people come to your channel to just see Hey Cousins. You could use that opportunity to help set expectations and make that first impression for the channel. So I would do that. Maybe even tell people that's their favorite stories from Reddit. So in terms of the channel layout, you have a thin channel layout here. You have videos, there's the recommendations, there's the shorts, and then there's the past live streams, and then created playlist. If you're gonna have created a playlist, I would maybe put some of them here in the channel using the customization feature, maybe two or three more of them. That would fill this out a little bit. Let's see, you've got 97 videos. Some of them are short, so not bad. How many long forms do you have? Not that many. And it looks like you've changed video niches from vlogging. You went from vlogging to this commentary stuff, so that looks like a pivot that you made. Um, so you made a pivot. So really, we can only go off of maybe the last 3 months. And in the last 3 months, the videos haven't been super consistent, but you're getting more consistent now. So that's good. And you're getting some views. So what I would do, Courtney, is there's a YouTuber you should study, and you could improve your thumbnails dramatically by studying this YouTuber. Actually, there's a couple of YouTubers you could study. We've got Grape Tea News here in the chat. You could study her channel for some visuals and some branding since she does things similar to you. There's a gentleman named Anton Daniels. You may or may not be familiar with him, but he's been blowing up and popping off here for a while. His content is growing. The thumbnail style that he uses for commentary does very, very well. Um, I would say that maybe borrowing some elements from that could do well for you. There's another channel a gentleman does that's a little similar to your content in a way. It's called Poor Man's Podcast, but he's the male centric equivalent of some of what you're doing. So you could borrow from him, you can borrow from Anton Daniels, you can borrow from Grape Tea News. Uh There's another one I think called The Spill or Tea Spill. So visuals wise, with the commentary, visuals wise, you should look at that because your thumbnails are not necessarily um where you would want them to be to maximize views yet, but you're showing some level of skill. The other thing is for these commentary videos, you don't have to put yourself in the thumbnail, and a lot of times it's not useful or particularly helpful to put yourself in the thumbnail when it comes to commentary videos. When it comes to commentary videos, you want to focus on the subject themselves in the thumbnail. To give you an example of one of YouTube's most famous commentators is More Pegasus. So if we look at More Pegasus, he's like one of the biggest, most successful YouTube commentators. You can see he gets wild views. If you literally did this same format with your subjects, but you use the pink and white aesthetic, and you could go with white and one other color for the text, and then use pink instead of his gray, and you literally just went with this, you couldn't lose, not really. You couldn't lose because this just works in terms of basically tabloid style content for YouTube. Um, and this is a very, very simple format, obviously, but it just works. Now, you might want to learn a little bit of Photoshop or photo editing because one thing I'll say in yours is when you cut people out or you have this stuff, they look flat and you could sharpen the images. Um and they could use some more contrast. So I would go that way. Um but I think also the text needs to be more readable, and I would stick to like one font. I would probably use this sans serif font that you used for the Kanye video. So I'd probably go with that. And then in terms of the video format, um you might want to go with something closer. This isn't bad with the Courtney in her mess. I got the receipts. Like use that style text, but make it readable, make it white with a drop shadow. And the thing is, You don't have to green screen the entire videos, but maybe having some segments to edit in there, maybe that could help you. For these videos with them being long form, I wouldn't turn your camera the way that vertical. I wouldn't turn your camera vertical. I would keep your camera widescreen doing these. Um, so in theory, you might even want to do these as sit down videos at a desk. You might even want to consider how you might approach doing um, inserting yourself into it with skits somehow, potentially. So those are things you want to look at. But the main thing here is going to be the branding needs to be more consistent, and it can be more powerful if you simplify your approach, very similar to what say more Pegasus does here, for example. Because I just don't think that you're advanced enough in the Photoshop department, let's say, to do a more complex thumbnail style like an H3 Productions or like a Swoop, or who else is in commentary, or anyone like that. So I would just try to keep it simple. Again, good example of clean here is just like what more Pegasus is doing. But you could do it with a more feminine aesthetic, but it could still be very clean and easy to understand. Those things are very clickable. And then you could just use your headlines. Another example, like I said, there's he does it differently. And again, the thumbnails, they're effective. They're not necessarily the greatest thumbnails to ever live, but they work. Um, so Anton Daniels does these, and yes, he does put himself in the thumbnails reaction style. But again, he's an established YouTuber, and it's hit or miss. I think that when you're doing commentary, a lot of times it's just better to not bother putting yourself in the thumbnail and just go with a tabloid style where you focus on the subjects and then you make them pop off more. You sharpen them up, you add contrast, you brighten up the colors a little bit. So yeah, so I would just say keeping things very clean and packaging them very clean. Because here's the other thing. Your banner's clean. Your banner's clean. So the thing is, I would go and use this hot pink um in the banner. I would probably do something with your profile pic where you can use more of a pink aesthetic, and I would just make this all be on brand. I would just make it be very, very on brand. You had a question here, it looks like, about there's a question you had that says, you noticed the ones that did a general statement. You said the ones that did a general statement of gender versus specific person commentary was more evergreen. Would you agree? I'm not sure if it's more evergreen so much as it gets more of a reaction or a response. It could be more evergreen. You could argue that. Um, but you'd have to know your audience very well to say that, and you might wanna even do some, you might wanna ask even your audience about what they respond to and why they respond to it, because you can try to make judgment calls and assumptions off of this, but sometimes it's better to just straight up ask the audience why they respond to certain things. But that's a good question, and the thing is, I also don't know what percentage of the audience is male to female. I assume it's very skewed female on your channel, but I don't know but to what degree, what percentage. Is it 80-20? Is it 70-30? Is it 60-40? So that could have an impact as well. Commentary can be time-based, but if the commentary also involves a greater social aspect to it, you can make commentary channels evergreen. You can make commentary channels evergreen if they are even if the story speaks to a larger reality or a larger truth or a figure that's always controversial like Kanye, then that extends the evergreen of your let me phrase that. It extends the evergreen nature of a video beyond just a hit and run style video that's good for a week or two. If the subject matter is something people will always care about, either because of the topic always being a topic that has broader social relevance, or if if the person, the subject is constantly in the news or constantly stirring trouble and stirring the pot or constantly being talked about, people will actually even watch stuff for scandals they missed and go back on it or see if it's relevant again or try to see how we got here. So people will also do that. So commentary doesn't always have to rely entirely on recency. So yeah, and you don't have to do celebrity news, by the way. You don't have to do celebrity news. That's helpful once in a while when you can get views out of it. But if you also just do things and you tell people that they're stories from Reddit, people will always be interested. Ooh, a juicy story from Reddit. What you might want to do is you might want to put the Reddit guy somehow in the thumbnail if you're going to use the Reddit angle for their stories. You might even want to make a playlist as one of your content pillars. You might want to make a playlist as one of your content pillars that is stories from Reddit. So then, like, if I was doing a commentary channel like yours, there could be stories from Reddit, there could be stories from the news themselves, and then it could be celebrity gossip, and then another commentary bucket might be the battle of the sexes, or it might be some other cultural thing that's going on. It could be reacting to the manosphere. So I would build like five. In your case, I'd probably build, and I'm not telling you have to do these things. I'm just telling you what I would do. I'd build like five content pillars. So I have these buckets of content. We call them content pillars. I'd be like, okay, here are juicy stories from Reddit. Here are things where, oh, here we go, battle of the sexes again, yay. And then here is stuff that maybe is for the culture. And then here is breaking news. And then here is celebrity gossip. And then here are reaction videos. And then you could react to things that are going viral. Um, so that's how we do it. And in the chat, we have our wonderful mods explaining content pillars. If you want to learn more about content strategy and content pillars, I definitely recommend you watch our 12-week beginner workshop. I also recommend that you guys use our free course, Creator Foundations, to learn more about setting up your content strategy, your content pillars, and your titles. But yeah, overall, I think this channel has potential. You're getting more views than you have subscribers, which is a very good thing. You have some videos that popped off. You're starting the beginnings of a decent upload cadence for a commentary and reaction style channel. But the big thing to tune up is consistency in how you shoot your videos. So again, I would shoot in widescreen. I would stop shooting with the phone in vertical. I would shoot in widescreen. You're making these for YouTube, not TikTok. So I would do that. If you're going to go vertical, go with YouTube Shorts. If you're going to go vertical, so for anything you want to do like that, just do the YouTube Shorts. I would tune up the branding. And what you might do is maybe you do a live show and you do a live show in the mornings about all this stuff, and then you cut up those videos, package them with thumbnails, and then those videos become your those videos you cut up become the videos on the channel from the live stream. If you do it as a morning show, you could cover like 2 or 3 stories or something. That's an option for a commentary channel as well. So just something to think about, but that would be my advice for you, Courtney. So hopefully that helps. But that's my review of Courtney Denise and her gossip and commentary channel. You know, do you agree with me and disagree with me on the approach, the cadence, building out the pillars, the fact that you could just do it as a morning show or or a late night show, and then you could cut up the videos and then get multiple videos out of that. That might make the process easier. That might make it more consistent. That might give you more options. But do you guys agree with me? Disagree with me? Would you do anything differently for a commentary channel like this? Again, I think the big thing is branding the thumbnails. I think the titles are carrying the videos right now. I think the views could be even higher if the thumbnails are there, and I think growth in subscribers could come from just more consistency on the video production side. Even if you're going to shoot on your phone, shoot widescreen, not vertical. And I think that that will help a lot. But let me know what you guys think in the live chat if you're watching live. Let me know in the comment section if you're watching the replay. And there we go. That is Courtney's. So hopefully you found that helpful. So let's see. So we did Courtney. We've got Eat Plants, Lift Weights. Great channel name. Great channel name. Would like a review, please. Also considering renaming, rebranding my channel name to one word. Potentially thoughts on that? Nah, I like this. Eat Plants, Lift Weights. You're making it very you know, straightforward in terms of what your channel's about. So we can go with that. All right. So here we have a channel, Eat Plants, Lift Weights. Gonna compliment you on not only the physique, but the profile pic here, very strong, but the banner is not as strong. So what I would want to do is I would definitely want you to really apply the how strong this profile pic is and how strong this channel name is. The banner is lacking, and we want that to go fully widescreen so that works on connected televisions, the mobile devices, and desktop. Right now this is not working for all devices, and I don't think you guys really need to worry much as about putting subscribe in your banner. People are going to do it if you call it out in the video. That's going to be more helpful. What I would recommend is that you put your upload schedule in here. I'd also recommend that you match the branding of the banner here to the branding of the thumbnails. So again, commit to some kind of color scheme and to some type of font. If you're watching live in the chat, the mods have posted our 5 helpful fonts for you to take advantage of there. And for anybody who's interested, we have some stuff that helps with, I mean, you seem to have good thumbnails. So it seems like you've hired a thumbnail artist. I would recommend that you have the thumbnail artist also design your banner for you and maybe some other graphics. For your homepage, you haven't really fleshed out your custom homepage, so I would add 2 or 3 playlists at least to the homepage besides your popular videos and your latest videos. You have your featured videos, your weight loss journey and story, so that's good. Let's see how long you've been doing this. You have 15 videos, so you're off to a very strong start, my friend. And you're starting really strong with these 15 videos. You're getting good views. You've only been doing this for a couple of months, trying to gain some consistency. Most popular videos from 3 months ago, that's to be expected. These are actually looking good. It feels like to some degree, you've watched one of my clients, Dr. Mike Diamonds. So Dr. Mike Diamonds is somebody I started working with. I think it was at 400,000. We started working together. He's at well over 1 million. I think he's at like 1.5, 1.6 million now. And his focused on, or rather, when we worked together, we focused a lot on just targeting weight loss, especially belly fat. So we looked heavily at that. What I would recommend from a content perspective, because your thumbnails are good, I would just try to getting to a point where the packaging might feel more consistent, or there's some recurring colors or themes or styles of thumbnails. But I would start building out your content pillars. You still have a lot of room to experiment with this. You don't have to build out 5 right away, but you might want to start thinking about building out some content pillars of like, okay, here are 5 topics that I cover. And I think you're already starting in a very good place. Like, okay, what to eat. So I would say what to eat is a content bucket. So you could focus on the nutrition part of it. So that's the nutrition pillar, the what to eat pillar. Um, then you could focus on things that specifically are about losing fat. That's a pillar. Building muscle is a pillar. Excuse me. Building muscle is a pillar. And then I would go specifically that maybe weight training is a pillar. And then I would say body transformation is a pillar. So that's probably where I'd go for a content strategy side. Um, Again, for your packaging, the main thing is just consistency. Overall, I think the proper upload cadence for a channel like this is absolutely 1 video a week is the right cadence and schedule for this. So that's what I'd probably want to see happen here is 1 video a week. I know that can be challenging. The main thing I would look at is um, your editing is fine, so that's good. The production looks pretty decent, so fantastic. It's actually really above the quality that has a right to be this early in a YouTuber's career. So that's fantastic for you. So the main thing is if you can do stuff at that level, but get it out once a week, at minimum, then you will be fine. You will be fine. I don't think you need a rebrand. I think eat plants, lift weights tells people what the channel is. And then your first line here sells it with the documenting my fitness journey of losing fat and gaining muscle as a vegan. So that is a powerful, compelling value proposition that's unique. What I would tell you is you could look at someone like my client, Dr. Mike Diamonds, and take the vegan approach to similar types of content. And I think that that could do very well for you. Because if you even have 1% of his success, you will be doing very, very well. Again, I wouldn't change the name of your channel. I would change the banner. And I would also put an upload schedule in there. And again, um, I would try to get to a place. I know you're still early in your career, but I would try to get to a place where you can put out 1 video a week, because if you have this momentum with 15 videos already, then it shows you that the proof is in the pudding to grow. So I think that that could be incredibly helpful for you. Um, and again, I'd like to see you try to learn from the videos that performed the best and understand why they performed the best. I could tell you a little bit of these ones that performed well. This is very specific in terms of a transformation. This is a classic before and after video. The thumbnail here is not perfect, but at least communicates the idea. Same with this one of going from fat to fit. So fat to fit thumbnails are some of your best performers, and they're going to be, you have more views than you have subscribers on all of your fat to fit thumbnails. Transformations are a thumbnail style that resonate very well with people because the value is clear. They're also very evergreen, so they can keep getting views. So, and authentic stories, people love that. So you don't need better production. Thankfully, looking at your videos, you don't need better production. You don't necessarily need better editing. Those things will improve over time. You're a gold star where those things are concerned. You could tighten up some of these thumbnails, and you can repeat versions of this, because here you even said it yourself, fat to fit transformation. So that's like a really good secondary part of the title. How I lost 35 pounds on a vegan diet is a great qualifier. Another one is how I lost 35 pounds in 3 months as a vegan, or 2 months, or whatever it was. So I did this very difficult thing in this extraordinarily short amount of time under this really weird circumstance. So that's like actually really impressive in my opinion. Um, in terms of something I want a lot of you smaller content creators to strive for is I want the smaller content creators watching this or listening to this, strive to get to a place to where you're getting at least in like, and this sounds wild, strive for a goal where you are going to do whatever it takes to get 50 to 100 new subscribers a month. If you can set yourself the goal of getting 50 to 100 new subscribers a month, might sound really challenging, might sound like a lot. You're putting yourself in the mindset to get to a place to where you're at least going to get monetized within a year if you actually shoot for that goal. Or a more ambitious goal, if you want a more ambitious goal, is to try to get 10 to 30 new subscribers a day. That one's a little more challenging, but for those of you who feel ambitious and are feeling about it, you could go that way. I'm not the biggest fan of subscriber goals for small YouTubers in general. So my grain of salt condition on this is I don't want you guys setting this goal until you've done the following requirement. Upload 50 videos first, all long form before you set a subscriber goal. Before you're allowed to set a subscriber goal, do me this favor and do yourself this favor. Upload 50 long form videos before you ever set a subscriber goal or a monetization goal. And the reason you're going to do that is you're going to then use that to evaluate what videos are your top 10 videos and what was the response they got? What was your top 20% of videos? What did they get you and why did they do that? Because now you can establish why that worked and you can plan all your videos around those top 10 performers. So that's your top 20%. So what you want to do is you want to do that. That's going to help you understand what a realistic subscriber goal could be and should be if you're going to duplicate that success. If you're going to duplicate that success because you have results to measure, you can now set a reasonable subscriber goal and it would actually make sense and it'd be something you could reasonably accomplish now if you follow the data. So if you follow the data, you'll have a way to make this work. If you do it without following data and you set an arbitrary subscriber goal, you won't even have a focus for improving the content itself. If you can measure 10 videos and say, what did I do better in these 10 videos than the other 40? Why is this 20% of results better than this 80% of the results? Then it can steer and give you direction, focus, and purpose in improving your content with growth in mind. Because then growth becomes a plan, not a wish. If you can't follow data, then growing is a wish, not a plan. So that's what I'm looking at here. And hopefully that advice is helpful to you. What I would also look at is listicle videos. I'll give you an example here of something you could do. 10 best high protein foods for vegans will probably do well. And you probably use different numbers with that 10, 5, 10, 15, 20. Listicles are great. They work. You guys respond very well to my 15 tips for small YouTubers, 15 tips for new YouTubers, 15 tips that actually grow your YouTube channel. No BS advice. You guys respond to listicles very well. So if you did 10 best high protein foods for vegans, you'll get clicks. 15 best high protein foods for vegans, you'll get clicks. 10 high protein foods to build muscle and lose fat as a vegan. So those titles would work for you. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the channel. But what did you guys think? I think eat plants, lift weights. Like me, I'm a meat eater, so you'd think I wouldn't be good at this one, but I'm good with eat plants, lift weights. I don't think he needs to change his channel name. I think if anything, he just makes the channel banner look as good as his thumbnails. And I think that he'll do well. The profile pic, it sells it. It's spot on. It could be his profile pic could be a Calvin Klein ad. It works. It shows the result. It shows the physique. So I think that that helps sell it. What I'd probably do is this eat plants, lift weights. I'd probably make the banner something that has him, um, a really good photo designed with a bunch of weights, then another one with a bunch of plant-based food, and I'd sell the idea in the banner. I'd make it look good. I'd probably put an upload schedule in there. I also probably would upload at least one video a week, give them that consistency. With these channels, eventually the goal is to get to a cadence of at least 2 videos a week. And I'll tell you why with these channels, 2 videos a week, in general, a good philosophy for a lot of you. And I know a lot of people push against this. They're like, oh, quality over quantity. But I want to be honest with you guys about how YouTube works. YouTube disproportionately favors volume with value. So if you have volume of content and it is valuable to people, that will work better than quality over quantity. Quality over quantity is, in my opinion, it should be reserved. If you don't have a filmmaking or photography or media background or a public speaking background, quality over quantity, I think, should be something a YouTuber thinks about when they're closer to 100,000 or 1 million or a 500,000 subscribers. That's when they can start thinking about that. Or if they're getting brand deals already, they can start thinking about that. Most of you, quality over quantity is stagnating your growth because you're not getting your reps in, and neither is your audience getting your reps in with you. Because my philosophy of how this would work, and this worked not just for me, I've coached hundreds of creators. There are some creators that they should absolutely do quality over quantity. But that's James Johnny. That's someone who's going to spend 200 hours editing one video. That's Magnates Media. That's like those guys, they can do that. A lot of you would do better with 2 to 3 videos a week, because 2 to 3 videos of the week would represent you getting your gains and lifting your weights and doing your good habits. 2 to 3 videos a week is the same thing as you go into the gym 2 to 3 videos a week. Same thing for your audience. They're building a habit of coming to your channel 2 to 3 days a week, the same way they would go to the gym. So it's about habit forming, and it's about basically building that conditioning of an audience, because I'm not worried about using upload frequency to hack the algorithm. I want you to use upload frequency to hack your viewer's brain. I want you to become their habit. And you should think that, okay, be a good habit. If you're going to be addicted to something, be addicted to me. And I'm going to be healthy for you instead of being sugar or toxic. So that would be the idea. The idea that I believe in is becoming that viewer's comfort channel, or becoming their guilty pleasure, like that sort of thing, or becoming their healthy habit. 2 to 3 times a week, they're indulging the healthy habit of watching your content, the same way that 2 to 3 times a week is the appropriate amount of them being in the gym. And I think that that's right for more channels than it's not. I think most of you early on suffer from the idea of quality over quantity because you're being seduced by people who have convinced themselves they're artists, or by people who are incredibly privileged celebrities who can get away with that, but because they're not worried about growth anymore. They can do that. They're worried about maintaining a reputation, not building one. If you're going to build something, you build something with frequency, consistency, and incremental improvement. There's no such thing as quality over quantity for a beginner. A beginner shouldn't be capable of a certain level of quality anyway. A beginner should be building good habits and should be showing up and should be trying hard and shouldn't be scared to fail, even in public. That's what a beginner needs to do. A beginner needs to try hard and needs to work their butt off and needs to improve incrementally and build the habit of showing up and show people that they're willing to do that, because that's endearing and we can root for somebody who's building something. acting like you're supposed to be perfect is holding you back. And again, that's not necessarily a message for eat plants, lift weights, but a message for all of us. So I would embrace that philosophy. The goal is not to churn out bad videos, it's to accept your imperfections, and that done is better than perfect, and that failure is part of the process. And there's nothing to be ashamed of when you're building in public, because no one has the right to sneer at the man or the woman in the arena when they're sitting in the cheap sheets up in the bleachers. So, that's one man's perspective. But do you guys agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let me know if you're watching live in the chat. Let me know in the comment section if you're watching the replay. So, as I promised you, not only did I give you a review, I gave you some advice. And hopefully, I hope it lands well and that you guys understand my perspective on that. I've analyzed not only the hundreds of channels that I've coached and thousands of channels that I've supplied with screenshots and data, and talking to thousands of creators over a decade of my career. I've also studied extreme data reports from ViewStats and Social Blade and case studies and white papers. And I've ran the numbers in the data. The average YouTuber that gets to over 100,000 subscribers, in 15 different categories, the median amount of uploads was between 500 and 700 videos in long form, not counting YouTube Shorts. In long form, not even counting YouTube Shorts, the median that I found for the top, say 5,000 channels in any category, or channels in general over 100,000. I even did an investigation on this when I had when before TubeBuddy got sold. We when the Phil was still the owner. When Phil was still the owner, we did an anonymized data study of 3 million channels, and we found a correlation between channels that grew and had larger subscriber counts, had a pattern of usually doing YouTube for 5 to 7 years, and usually had an upload cadence that suggests that they did 100 to 150 video uploads per year throughout the majority of their career, and on average had 500 to 750 uploads. When I did an independent case study of channels in Social Blade, I ended up in all 15 categories with a very similar number. And that's even among the top creators, even the people who preach quality over quantity. The minority of them did that to grow, and a lot of them did that after they already made it. But their early journey was about consistency. That's how they built. They only did quality over quantity after they reached escape velocity and after they were already known. And it doesn't matter what niche they were in, that tends to be true. There are outliers, the people who, oh, well, Charlie, Moist Critical, Penguin Zero, he doesn't make thumbnails. Well, you're not him. You're not an OG YouTuber from 15 years ago who had a certain gimmick and was early and had less competition. Not taken away from his talent at all, but he had first mover advantage. You don't. You don't. If you have first mover advantage, there are things you could get away with. But also, 2025 is not 2008 or 2010. There's a different game, there's a different culture, there's a whole new crop of viewers now with a different mentality and different expectations, and there's a new system. So, your favorite OG creator doing something is meaningless. Whatever worked for them, that's like a meaningless metric of, well, this person did this or this person did that. It's like, well, when? Because the other thing I study is and I have in the Awesome Creator Academy Pro Group, I have people who've grown 100,000 subscribers in the last 2 to 3 years. We have people like Victoria from Contempo Coding. She came to us, I think she had less than 10,000, less than 20,000 subscribers. She's over 200,000 subscribers now. She just hit another 200, she just hit another 100,000 milestone. We have Cassandra from Becoming a Farm Girl. She is over 300,000 subscribers. She came to us with less than 30,000 subscribers. She's done that in, I think, 2.5 years. And she's an Academy Pro Group member. Magnify Reacts. He went daily, went hard, went 3 reaction videos a day. He's at over 100,000. I've been studying people who grow in real time. I've been studying and helping and growing channels, whether they do long form YouTube shorts, even in gaming. You have Obdude. Obdude is killing it. He has grown even now in the last 14 months. And we worked together twice. I think we worked together for 12 or 14 weeks. He is now becoming one of the strongest Clash Royale channels in existence. And he pivoted from Clash Mini, and he became, in his gaming niche, one of the most beloved creators in his niche in just like 14 months. So there are things that work right now, and they're very different than what worked back then, and they're not always what people would expect. And again, the quality over quantity advice works in very narrow, specific categories, and there are also usually special circumstances around that, usually involving either a degree of inherent talent. Some people have unlimited time that you might not have, especially if you're an older content creator. If you're an older content creator, you're over 30, you have kids, you have a 40-hour week job, you can't do the strategies that work for somebody that's in high school or college and has more free time, more stamina, more energy, and no responsibilities. You can't always compete in the same lane as somebody who, if they fail, failure is going back to mommy and daddy and living in their nice house in the suburbs and then working for one of mommy and daddy's friends at the firm. If like that's not your life, and for you failure is I'm out, I'm on the streets, I'm living out of my car, then you don't have the same risk capacity as some of these younger YouTubers who do blow up. They can take risk because their capacity to withstand failure and bounce back is higher. Also, someone who's older and retired might have more resources. A lot of creators that are older, they come to me. I had to change one of my policies around working with people who aren't monetized because of some of the older creators who are retired who come to me and they either have a business or they just sold their company or they just retired and they were in a high income bracket thing. They can come to me and work with me without already being monetized or established, or come and work with me from zero, because their answer to everything is they can hire a video editor, they can hire a thumbnail artist. They don't have to get these skills. They can use their knowledge, and that's their skill set. Their skill set is the knowledge they have as a subject matter expert, and they can throw money at any problem, and they have unlimited time, unlimited money. They have decades of confidence built from crushing it already. So there's a lot more to work with there. So we're not having to build from nothing. We have a really good foundation when it comes to those type of folks. But that's an undisclosed advantage. So when you're comparing yourself to other people, you have no idea what's going on. And that's the thing that breaks my heart about a lot of you small YouTubers. You compare yourself and you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. That person might be starting the same as you, but they're not starting the same as you. They're starting the same as you. Oh, we're starting our YouTube channels at the same time. But here's the difference. If they're rich, it's different. It's different. If they have no kids and you have 5 kids, it's different. If you're 40 and they're 20, it's different. So and again, there's just a difference in circumstances, resources, time availability, investment capital, experience, manpower, support. And so it's never a one-to-one comparison. And so you shouldn't bother comparing, in my opinion. You should learn from other people. You can use them to also set standards or expectations for yourself to some degree. But comparison is the theft of joy, but it's also really imprecise and unscientific because you don't know everything, and it's not a controlled one-to-one scenario. So I just think it's unreasonable. I think you're unfair to yourself when you compare yourself to people because you have no idea. They haven't disclosed every advantage they have that you don't. You don't know. So you don't know what you don't know, and you might be judging yourself too harshly or unfairly because you don't know everything about what the playing field even looks like. So yeah, cut yourself a little slack sometimes. Yep. By the way, we do have the replays of these live streams, so they don't go away. I keep them up. We're also multi-streaming to multiple platforms, so you will always be able to find the live streams. Yep. Savvy Tech Sip says, you just bought the book. Yeah. Hope you're enjoying it. My book is out, Create Something Awesome, How Creators Are Profiting from Their Passion in the Creator Economy. I also have pre-orders available for my second book. That's coming out much later this year, close to the end of the year. Yeah, normally we would do 10 reviews. We'll get to some of you guys next week. I will figure out how I'm going to do reviews while I'm at VidCon next week. I'm going to be speaking on Saturday, which is also my birthday. So I'll be speaking at VidCon next Saturday, which is my birthday. I'll be speaking twice that day. Friday, I will still figure out some way. We'll work the schedule around. I'll be in a different time zone. Friday, I will find some way to do channel reviews. We'll just have to figure out the timing, but we'll find a way to do it. So we'll do more of these next week. But let's move on to the next review. Again, today I'm just not feeling well. So we have Ebony Daily, 35 videos, 2.9, so almost 3,000 subscribers. Great. If you're a millennial woman that's ready to glow up in faith, purpose, and love, then you're in the right place. Okay, great. So this works. Let's see. You have popular videos, you have the For You side, you have the videos, and then you have the created playlist. I would add more of the playlist to the customized feed here, maybe 3 of them. You have 35 videos. That's probably enough to add some here. Decent banner. Could use splash more color maybe, but this is a decent banner. Might love, like I said, to see the schedule in here because it looks like you're doing at least weekly videos. So it looks like you're doing weekly videos. Let's see what the most popular videos look like. So the most popular videos you have clearly are working off of their subject matter and title. The thumbnails are not terrible here, but shy away from things where, even though this one did very well, the title is carrying it. Try to use drop shadows behind this kind of text, because the red here, the word and it in red becomes hard to read. Also, try to stick with one font, and I would recommend sans serif fonts in this situation. And if you're going to use fonts, again, two fonts can be mixed if you're going to do them, but this how to prepare for your husband, I would have used 2 sans serif fonts, not a serif and then a sans serif. I would just use 2 sans serifs. And again, color schemes, I'd get these consistent. So these are not terrible. These are very good beginner thumbnails, believe it or not. Actually, these are quite good for beginner thumbnails. You're doing your cutouts right. You're doing a lot here that works well. The biggest issue I have here is the inconsistency in fonts and inconsistency in commitment to color schemes. Because again, you want your stuff to be recognizable at a glance and not just when your face is in it. And the easiest way to get there is colors and fonts. And the stronger drop shadows, this one's a decent one. This one could have been a little darker. Again, it's about making the stuff easy to read at a glance the minute that you see it. Also, your audience may not be responding to this one, even though you could argue that, oh, this is a really leveled up design to your thumbnail. Same thing with this one. The audience may not be responding to that because they're used to the aesthetic that you've already created. There is a familiarity bias. This is why, again, you want to start trying to do things to condition some familiarity and get the audience to respond to things. Right now, they are responding to the titles. Some of them are responding to your face, so that's good. You're kind of establishing yourself there, but you want to kind of start to lean in the direction of getting together, a font that you always use so that your thumbnails can look consistent. So it's going to make it easier for you to make thumbnails in the future. Ebony would like to know why she's not getting more views from her audience, even though she sticks to the same topic that got her monetized. That's a great question. In general, you're not always reaching the same exact people, and your subscribers aren't necessarily going to get your videos. In my entire lifetime as a YouTuber, 80% of all of my 41 million views were from non-subscribers. In general, most of you, if you look at your data, 80% of your views will not be from your subscribers, and it will be from new people who have not seen you before. So that is part of it. The other thing is, you might feel you're talking about the same thing. You might feel you're saying the same thing. That doesn't mean that's the way they're hearing it. You always have to understand that just because you feel that you're saying the same thing, or you're saying it the same way, or you're doing the same thing, doesn't matter to how someone else sees it or how someone else hears it. So you think, Ebony, that I'm saying the same thing, I'm sticking to the same topic, I'm doing what worked before. You might feel you're doing that. That's not the same thing that someone else hears. And you have to accept that. You can't control that, but you have to have some grace for the fact that just because I think I'm doing this isn't how they're taking it. So you have to open up some grace there. The other thing is, what if that's just not what they need today? It might have been what I needed to hear from you Monday is not the thing I might need on Friday. I might not be ready to hear that message. I might not need that message right now. Or even if I did need it, I might not accept that I need it. So you have to consider that, especially with your subject matter. With your subject matter, you cannot control where somebody else watching your video is in their journey or whether they're in their feelings. Um, you can't control you doing the same thing doesn't matter if they're not living the same every day because you could have people that they might be at a spiritual crossroads. They might be struggling with their faith at the moment. They might be struggling in a way where they don't want to hear it from you. And that has nothing to do with you. You didn't do anything wrong. So the thing is, remember, in life, you can do everything right and still not get the same results. You can do everything the same and not get the same results. Because the other thing is the world does not sit still for you. And that's not a criticism of you. It's a philosophy thing that I just wanted to put out there is that a lot of YouTubers struggle with this idea that I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. Why am I not getting a consistent result? That only works at a 9 to 5 job. If you're lucky. If you're lucky, that only works at a 9 to 5 job. Because your viewer, you don't know who's on the other end of the screen. You don't know what is making them accept or reject your video that has nothing to do with you. It could be their mood. It's like if someone in your audience or a bunch of people in your audience, if something happened and it shook their faith, how are they going to click on your video? They may not be in that place. They aren't there to receive the message. And that's okay. If it's an evergreen video, when they're feeling better a week from now or a month from now, then that might be exactly what they need. And maybe the algorithm or the hand of God moves you in their path at that time. So that's the difference. And the thing is, you can't necessarily, you might always feel that when you're speaking to someone, like you had 95,000 people watch this video, 7 signs God is preparing you for marriage. But here's the thing. Somebody might be in there. What's the odds that out of those 95,000 people, that like a lot of them right now may just be struggling in general with their faith and not watching your videos because they're like, I thought that I saw the signs. Why am I not there yet? And that's not your fault. That has nothing to do with you. Or maybe they had a bad breakup and they're like, okay, I just don't want to hear it from anyone right now. Right now, they want to feel their feelings or they want to validate their feelings. So just keep in mind that for a lot of you watching right now, and especially for you, Ebony, people are allowed to say no to your videos, and that's not necessarily a rejection of you, or even if it is, you shouldn't take it personally. You should never take how your videos perform personally, which is really hard to say because you want your work to do well, you want your work to succeed. But we all have to remember that when we don't watch videos ourselves, it has nothing to do with that creator. It had everything to do with us. It had everything to do with the mood. And there's videos in my feed from creators I've been subscribed to years. I didn't watch them because I just wasn't in the mood to watch videos at all that day, or I wasn't wanting to watch a video that might make me go shopping in Amazon. Maybe, because like I'm on a Dave Ramsey kick of trying to not spend money on things and going to zero debt and paying down my car note before I do anything. So like pay off the mortgage. So if I'm in Dave Ramsey mode, as much as I love certain YouTubers, I can't watch their unboxing video because I'm going to want to buy something. So do keep in mind for all of you that sometimes you did nothing wrong, but there's just something that might have shifted with the audience. It could shift in the culture. It could shift for them personally. It could be something happening in the niche. It could be something happening with them. And if you're making videos about things that are very, very personal to people, you have to understand that not everyone hears the same message the same way. and you might have to make a video, even if you feel you're saying something one way, you might have to package that video 5 different ways before it hits and resonates to where people understand what you're getting at, or it's done in a way that they can receive it. I remember there have been people who've tried to teach me something, and it was just one person finally said it the right way that I was ready to hear, and it made all the difference. So, for content like yours in particular, don't lose patience with it just because sometimes not everything performs. And I get it. I go through this. I go through cycles of this myself. Um, my most successful video of all time got 90% of its views 6 months after I uploaded it. So sometimes those things happen. Now, again, we just try to control the things we can control. What you can control is you can um, look at things like your titles, and you can try and do some more research and see what's resonating in another niche or someone similar where things are performing, or you could try and tap in to an existing conversation that's happening in the culture at a cultural level and tap into that. So something to think about. In general, what I'll say is your channel is strong and you do have something here and something that people are looking for and something people want, and you can take this further. I do think that there are topics you should be exploring. I would explore I would explore the popular if you look into dating culture right now, there's a lot of negative things that are out there in the secular world of dating and relationships. I would look at the most high level performing content around that from the dating and relationship world, and look at the negativity around the secular point of view there of relationships between men and women. Then I would interject what you feel God says about those things and offer people hope. And offer people hope. Because I would just use the counter narrative. In general, for a lot of you, if there's something popular and you disagree with the popular narrative, and you're someone who's willing to say, all of you are wrong, I would stand on business and I would make a video that counters the most popular prevailing narrative if I don't believe in that narrative, or I have a different point of view, or I'm ideologically the opposite. And I think that's another way to tap into attention, but I also don't think it's clickbait, and I think it's authentic to do that. If you really want to take a stand, and I think that people are rewarded when they take a stand and when they have strong opinions. So I would look at here are the most popular opinions that I disagree with about my subject matter, and then I would make a video coming out strongly, not ugly, not hyper aggressive, but very strongly against the thing that I don't believe in, and then interjecting what I do believe to be true. So hopefully you find that helpful. But what do you all think about my advice for Ebony? Do you agree or disagree with me? I think that if you really look at social media right now, what people are looking for is strong opinions. Being non-confrontational, go along, get along, that's not cutting it anymore. It's bland, it's vanilla, and it's not working, and people believe it's insincere. What people believe is sincere is someone will take the sincere honesty of someone who has the conviction and faith to stand on their opinions, come hell or high water. Whether they agree with them or not, they do respect at least the honesty and that you're not trying to um mislead them or pretend to be more neutral than you are or to be ambivalent to things. People like people who stand on business. And to some degree, they respect people that they disagree with when they do it very openly and when they at least are um, not ugly about it. Because I think it's possible to stand on business, be very firm or even forceful about what you believe in, but not be ugly to people just because they happen to disagree. When people do that, it resonates because you want to attract your tribe. And the thing is, it's okay to repel people who would reject you anyway. It's okay to repel people who would reject you anyway and attract your tribe and attract who's for you. They say your vibe attracts your tribe. I believe in leaning into that. And so I think that's something that all creators could embrace and could look at. And I think that there's a strength in being willing. You can be polarizing without being negative, you know. You can be polarizing without being negative. A lot of people just are very reluctant to take that leap of faith and commit to that content because it feels very high risk, high reward. And it is. But nothing ventured, nothing gained. So that's my review and my thoughts on Ebony and also a broader idea of something that a lot of you could do to grow. I think for 35 videos, having almost 3,000 subscribers is impressive, most impressive. So that's what I think. Do you guys agree? Let me know if you're watching live in the chat. Let me know in the comment section if you're watching the replay. There you go. Hopefully you found that helpful, Ebony. Mm. Yep. No, I promise I don't bite. And for if it's your first time here, you can see I'm not harsh. These are not roast sessions. I leave that to the 20-something-year-olds. The 20-something-year-olds who want to roast people and tell them that they suck or whatever, that edgy stuff. I leave that to people in their 20s. I was more aggressive in my 20s, so I get it. And it could be cool all the way up until about 30, 32 to try to be an edgelord. And I might dress in all black, but I'm not in my emo phase anymore. I've left that behind, even though I'm back to all black. I'm in my Steve Jobs elder statesman era. But there's nothing to be afraid of with these challenge reviews. I'm tough but fair, but I'm always looking to try to help where I can, lead a creator in the right direction, give them some much needed advice. I'm not going to coddle you. I'm not going to be overly gentle, but I'm not going to be mean spirited about anything. There's nothing productive in it. There's nothing productive in that teaching style. I think a firm hand is great in a teacher, a coach, or a mentor, but I think you also have to be able to understand where people are at and how they would best receive something. And how you might best receive something is not how they might best receive something. I have benefited a lot from tough love and people not pulling punches, but I've also learned to not project that onto other people. It's a lesson. Coaching hundreds of people one-on-one has taught me that. And so doing thousands now. We've done 5,000 live channel reviews in my lifetime. So I do think that, it's important. So, yep. Let's see. Yep. I'd agree with that. Oh, all of my early videos are horrible. You guys will never, I mean, you guys can watch some of my earliest videos after this if you want. You guys will never make videos as bad as my first 50 or 100 videos. It's not possible. I had all the grace of a sack of carrots and the charisma to match. So there's not really a way to make worse videos than my first couple of uploads. They were particularly bad. I had no on-camera presence. I wasn't a particularly good public speaker back then. No energy. It was not great. So that was also I was in my 20s back then, but oi oi oi, it was not good. So I don't think it's possible for you guys to make worse content than I made in my early career. I think that'd be a particularly challenging thing to do. I think it'd be very impressive. I think it'd be very impressive to make worse content than my early content. Yeah. Yeah, the public content, the earliest public content on this channel is 16 plus years ago. The early days of YouTube, 2009. I did a channel in 2006. In 2006, I did a channel with my friends that's no longer active or available, which is my earliest foray into YouTube. I had another channel in my 20s. I think I was 22, 23 at the time, from 2006. That no longer exists. So my earliest existing content on YouTube is from 2009. At least it's still around. All right, so we have Francis Stone up next. So Francis Stone, 73 videos, 149 subscribers, addictions counselor, and then you have your email in the banner. In your case, the email in the banner is probably fine because you probably are looking for people to reach out to you. If you are going to do an upload schedule, I would put it in the banner. The color here is not terrible, although with your complexion, I might suggest going a different direction. You could either go with the all white for the background, and then you could do the black text and maybe another color, and that would actually probably be fine. The tan here isn't necessarily doing anything, and I don't think you're going to use that in your branding overall. So I would ditch it, and I would just go ahead and cut yourself out in Canva and either do a plain color or white here. If you're going to use two fonts, this font for Francis Stone is actually pretty good, but I would stick to maybe one font for the rest of this. So yeah, so I would only use two fonts, not three. I think that that would probably do better. Let's see. 73 videos. With 73 videos, there's probably enough to put in the customized feature more here on your YouTube channel homepage for people to see what videos you make. You're not particularly doing thumbnails yet, it looks like, or like you've tried to do some, but they're not necessarily consistent. In general for your videos, well, those are 3 years old, so maybe I don't wanna count those. We'll just go from, um, 7 months ago up. I think you could make simple thumbnails, and Canva does have some thumbnail templates if you struggle with those. But I think that in general for a lot of you, and here's the approach that you can use for thumbnails for a lot of you. So I'll just switch back to the camera here for a second. So for a lot of you, what a lot of you should do is just take maybe 30 minutes on a weekend or something. Don't stand directly because you don't want a shadow to be a big problem. Don't stand directly in front of a white wall, but stand enough in front of a white wall. Get a friend to take photos and selfies for you and just do different poses. Do some thoughtful poses, do a left version, do a right version, do this, do that, do some, and do all the different emotions and expressions. Do some pointing this way, do some that way, do some like, just do like a bunch of poses, 30 minutes, have your friend just snap, 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 snap with your phone. They'll come out fine. And then you can just go into Canva and remove the background in Canva, or you can use remove.bg, or you can use Adobe Express for free. You can use Adobe Express and you just remove yourself from the background, and that will give you a bunch of options for poses for your thumbnails. And you can do this a couple of different times. If you want to do different outfits, that's fine. But people really don't care if your same outfit matches your thumbnail. People do not care about that at all. They barely notice. And you would do that. And so for a lot of you, that'll give you these poses for your thumbnails. You'll already be removed from the background in Canva, and then you can just put some color and text, and then your thumbnail's done. For the most part, if you're going to do talking head style content, that is a way that you can do it and approach it to where you can feel very confident that you have good thumbnails. Here's the thing. I actually like the pose in this one, YouTube sobriety and not giving up. I think that don't give up on changing your life. It's hard. You're worth it. Um, Very good, very positive message there. For the title for that, um, I feel that it inherently is motivational and it's got views. So you got a response on that. I feel that that thumbnail would have worked even without text, but while this is not the God's gift to thumbnails or anything, the pose actually works here because it's a thoughtful pose and it resonates. So there's a humanizing element of that. The title, I don't think the title is the worst. I do think that you don't ever need to put a date in a title ever. Um, because I felt it would have been stronger and you lost some opportunity with the text here. Um, for example, and this could have been shorter. So it's like, um, let's see. I would have probably went feelings are not facts. Um, how to not become overwhelmed in trying times. And that might have been just short enough. That might have been the 65 characters needed to get this all in without YouTube cutting it off. So I feel like for you, you might need to always run your titles through chat GPT and say, have it help you keep it under 60 characters if that's something you struggle with. Let's see. I would have went more compelling with this one. I know you were trying to be straightforward with this one. I might have changed the title to "Addiction is not a choice." Um, the harsh truth about being an addict. I feel like more people might have clicked on that. You could still change that title to something like that if you so desire, if you so choose, because I think that's just a stronger title. From a content strategy standpoint, what I might suggest is that you lean into some beginnings of, because you're still relatively early here. I would start the beginning of a content strategy and maybe it's 3 to 5 potential buckets. So I would think about videos for people that are struggling with sobriety, because I think so what they usually say is problem product offer, right? So, or rather, well, they say they say person, problem, product, right? We're gonna skip the product part because we're not talking about the business side, we're talking about strategy here. So if we're gonna look at this, we could look at, here's my person, here are their problems. So here are my pillars, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to take what would normally be for sales, which is person, problem, product, and we're going to go person, problem, pillar. Okay. So for your people who are struggling with addiction, and they have a couple of different things. One pillar that you could do is videos that people should watch if they're struggling with sobriety. In fact, a good video title in general is, if you're struggling with your sobriety, watch this video before you do anything. It's a very straightforward title. It speaks to exactly who that person is, and it tells them, hey, if you're struggling with sobriety right now, watch this video, don't do anything else. And that literally is what the title should be of that video. And obviously, the thumbnail should be compelling and should be relatable to that person. But that would be a really excellent video to make. So again, from a playlist standpoint, a playlist for people struggling with sobriety, it's a very good playlist to have. A so That would be a good pillar. Another pillar would be motivation to help you maintain your mental health. Maybe you can name it something more concise with that, but it would just be videos that are mental health maintenance, right? So that would be a good set of pillars to do, that are just videos that are uplifting, but they should target people that are specifically in um that situation, and that have titles that are related to people based on the different triggers for them specifically. Another pillar that I might suggest for you might be um videos that speak to people who for example, I would probably maybe make this other pillar sobriety and social media, and help people understand the impact that social media is having on their sobriety, and to help them with things like doom scrolling, help them with things like brain rot, help them not replace their addiction to substances with an addiction to their phone or an addiction to media. So I would look at things like that. So I would start planning out these kinds of themes as your content pillars and build a content strategy. One, if you have these pillars, you'll never struggle with what video should I make today, because you'll be filling out inventory in these pillars that you've made, right? So you'll be filling up these buckets, and that'll be very helpful. It'll also make the value clear to the audience. And again, you can fill out some more, you can make some more pillars. These are just three that I'm recommending to you. I'm not necessarily I don't have the experience in your field to tell you exactly what you should be doing for your audience. You would know them better. I have some experience in working with mental health channels. I've had my own very different mental health journey, not struggling with addiction, just other things, depression and anxiety instead. So, what I would say is, if you look at the constellation of issues and problems and topics that would matter more and matter most to your audience, you build out about 5 or 6 different pillars, and then there's always topics to fill those pillars as far as individual videos, and you'll never struggle for what to make. And you can always repeat topics in a pillar, but from a different angle. Some can be short and sweet, some could be tips, some can be shared experiences or storytelling. There's all kinds of angles to do those topics from. So just something to keep in mind here. But those would be my thoughts about your fledgling YouTube channel here. I think that there's potential for improvement. I think that what you're doing is, a great service to a lot of people. There are a lot of people who struggle with these issues and need to feel supported and build community. I just think it could be done both strategically and sincerely. I don't think those things are mutually exclusive, and I think that this just gives you direction, because right now, you're putting a lot of your feelings into this, but I think, if you can align that and align passion, purpose through a process that will actually give you more range and reach, then more people can be helped. And so this is what my approach to that would look like. So those are my thoughts. But what do you think? Do you guys agree? Would you do anything differently? Let me know in the chat if you're watching live. Let me know in the replay. If you're sorry, let me know in the comment section if you're watching the replay. So there you go. Yeah. Um we'll be doing reviews again next week. By the way, I'm not feeling great tonight. We normally would do up to 10 channels. We only did 5 tonight, first come, first serve, because again, I'm not feeling well, and you can tell my voice is a little raspy. I'm trying to save some of my voice for VidCon. I'm speaking there on Saturday. Plus, I've still got to make content before I go, and I still have to do some coaching calls before I go on my trip to VidCon next week. So we're only doing 5 tonight. We got one more in the queue, and we're gonna call it an early night because Roberto needs to rest and recover. Excellent. Excellent. Appreciate you. Glad you found that helpful. Yeah. But we'll be doing more channel reviews next week, everybody. Again, just not 100%, but I didn't want to skip out tonight. So, and I wasn't going anywhere. It's Friday the 13th. I'm like I'm not typically superstitious, but Friday the 13th is just one I don't play with. I ain't going nowhere. So, all right, we got solo cruising, and then we'll be calling it an early night. So we got solo cruising and more, 148 videos, 473 subscribers exploring the world of solo cruising. I did my first semi-solo cruise. Okay, so this is pretty solid. Again, one thing I'd recommend is in here you have a profile pic and you have your banner. I think that the banner pic should be different than the profile pic here. I think the profile pic here sells it. I think that's really good, but I think that the banner pic should be different. I also, once again, would recommend posting your channel schedule in there. This vlog is probably fine for your featured video, but if you have a more recent vlog that's performed well, it might be good for people to see something that's in the current year to give them a sense of what your channel's production value looks like right now. So let's see. You've got recommended videos, playlist, shorts. You have 148 videos, so you probably could do more featured playlist on the channel in the customization feature on YouTube. You'll want to do that on desktop. Let's look at the videos. First impression of these thumbnails is that in some cases, there's too much text to be able to read at a glance. And in this case, what I would have done is I would have, like this last one, I would have cropped this very differently. You'd never want, if you could avoid it, to put text over anybody's face. And you want to avoid that. Because there looks like there's this really interesting, fun time happening, but we don't get to see any of it because we're overwhelmed by text that's in front of people's faces and bodies. So, and that's something I would think about. Right now it looks like there might be some bottlenecks in your editing. You're probably doing all your own editing, so it doesn't look like you can get videos out every week, but Ideally, that is what people would look for this type of channel. So when you can get to that point where you can edit a bit faster, that's going to help with growth. This thumbnail, I think, could have been stronger without the ship tour and without the logo. It did really well. Mariner of the Seas, 2.4K. It did really well. I feel like the thumbnail would have been stronger without that. This thumbnail, we can't, there's not a drop shadow, so we like it makes it very difficult to read. Like if I glanced at this on my phone, if I didn't have my glasses, it might be, the text might be impossible to read for me. So that's something I am thinking about here. I'd like to see, you're getting consistent with the text, by the way. You're at least getting consistent with the font choice. A lot of these times the logo isn't always going to be visible. So I get where you guys are trying to use the logos for credibility, but sometimes it doesn't work because it's not even visible to us. Um, I don't think you need to put junior balcony cabin tour in the thumbnail. I think that that could have been in the title and it would have been fine here. I'm fine with you having MSC Magnifica in there. I think that that works for you, but I don't think you needed that extra text. For the best priced resort stay in Orlando, the text should have been on the opposite side, if anything. I get that you were trying to show off the pool, but putting text over anything with people just doesn't work. And if anything, you could have shrunk the text a little bit and made this work. Um, let's see. What's your best performing content? Yeah. I think these could have performed better if but for the thumbnails. The titles carried them. For you, a lot of the titles, the topics are interesting, the subject matter is interesting, and that's working, but you could actually be getting even more views, really and truly, than this, if the thumbnails could just improve by a little bit. And the thing is, you have a lot of great material to work with. And then one of the other things I would recommend for someone in your situation is always shoot wider and think about taking shots to make the thumbnails and make them as wide as you can, because you can always crop in. You can't always zoom out. So remember, for thumbnails, especially on location, for any of you doing travel content, shoot wide and always think about, oh, that might make a good thumbnail. Oh, that might make a good thumbnail. Shoot as wide as you can because you can always crop in. You can't always zoom out. So always remember that. Once again, maybe try to get to a consistent font style and try to incorporate body language into your poses of thumbnails. If you're going to be in a thumbnail, try to interact with the environment, or have poses, or put yourself in a position to where you're just going to cut yourself out strategically and plop yourself in a thumbnail if it's not going to be a realistic selfie thumbnail, because it doesn't always need to be a realistic selfie thumbnail. In terms of production, I don't know what you're using, because I think you're using your phone, but I don't know what kind of gimbal you have for that. But I'm going to recommend you get the DJI Osmo 7P gimbal with the tracking attachment. It's this here. So everything for this is magnetic. Let's see here. So this has a tracker, it has a receiver, it has a light, and it has a motion tracker built in. Let's see here. Yeah, so I would get something like this. I would get a gimbal like this, throw your phone in there. And so, yeah, that's what I would do. And then this thing, other interesting thing about this is it pops out with a tripod there, which explains like I didn't stabilize this. But yeah, but it even has a light there so that can, work in low light situations, all that good stuff. So I would get a stabilization gimbal like this, and that's ultimately what I would end up using to just make the content a little bit more, uh, for lack of a better word, smooth. And so that might help with production a little bit. Yeah, DJI makes really cool stuff. In fact, they even have a wireless mic system that goes with this perfectly, and so I would be using all that, and it's perfect. I'm going to be using it while I'm at VidCon myself because they have their policies for safety. That means you can't bring like a bunch of heavy equipment and stuff around, so that's really annoying for me with how much I spent on all my gear. Um, but yeah, so that's what I would do in your situation is I'd absolutely make sure that I'm using a stabilizer like that just to make my production value a little bit better. The production value is decent, don't get me wrong. This just makes it a little bit better. Gives you something that other people don't have. Your biggest issue is the thumbnail design, but that can be overcome with a little bit of work and a little bit of planning. Like I said, the zooming out when you want to have shots for the thumbnail, getting shooting as wide as possible so that you can, if you want, you can tighten it up later. You can zoom in, but once you take a shot, you can't artificially zoom out, not without AI. So I would do that. And like I said, getting consistent on fonts, not covering up people's faces with text, um, that sort of thing. Logos can work if you're going to use logos and you want to say, but I do want to benefit from it. It's iconic. Then what I would do is I would actually put it in the top left hand or top right hand corner and then just make the font a little bit smaller. And then I get to take advantage of the logo. And that's the easiest way to benefit from the logo. The good news for you is like your topic is interesting and it sells itself. Oh, excuse me. See, there's the voice going. Your topic is interesting. It sells itself. In many cases, it overcomes not having the strongest thumbnails. I think that you just need to strategically plan the thumbnails a little bit more and think of what would be the most interesting Instagram photo you could use for the thumbnail before you ever slap text on it. And I would try and shoot that. And I think that that would help you a lot in this situation. I also think trying to duplicate some of your best performers. I think that if you literally do a free things to do series on each of anytime you're on a cruiser, you should do a free things to do series on that cruiser. So that's definitely something you should do. I would also do um videos that show people what the cheapest versus the most expensive room can be like on those cruisers. So I would talk to other people on the cruiser and like be able to try to get a way to do a tour or review or like, oh, touring every you know, cabin class on, the blah blah blah, whichever cruiser it is. because people would really care about that. I also think doing a ship tour for every cruiser. So like if I was doing these cruises, the way I'd be doing it is I'd be doing, okay, here's all the free things you can do on the cruiser. Here's a tour of the entire ship. Here is the most expensive versus least expensive cabin you could do. Um, and I would also maybe doing a video where you maybe I do a oh, I'd probably do a, I don't know if you have the budget for this. I'd do a trying everything on the menu video for whatever cruise I'm on. So I would be making formats like that are extremely interesting. I think that those all are videos that would get a lot of views, if I'm being honest. So those are some thoughts that I have for you there. But yeah, solo cruising and more. That is my review. What do you guys think? Do you agree with me? Disagree with me? Again, packaging is a recurring theme, but it wasn't the only thing that I found that could be improved here. I think the channel is actually doing well. I think it's got some good individual outlier videos, but I think that one, just certain ideas in creating these formats could actually be really strong. And I think that going through and showing people things like reviewing everything on the menu. I reviewed like reviewing everything on the menu. People really would watch that. Most expensive versus least expensive cabin. People would watch that. Ship tour obviously does well for you. And then again, free things to do. Everyone will watch that. So I would do a free things to do. I would be always doing a free things to do on blah 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 cruiser. 10 things to do on this cruiser. Um, Most expensive versus least expensive. I would always be doing that. So those are different ideas that I think you can use. By the way, all of you doing any kind of travel thing, not just for people doing cruisers, like all of you can use those and take advantage of those title formulas for anything travel related. It'll work. So those would be some of my thoughts. But what do you guys think? Do you agree with me? Disagree with me? If you're watching live, let me know in the chat. If you're watching the replay, let me know in the comment section. And there you go, solo cruising and more. Hopefully you found that helpful. Yeah. So that's it for reviews for tonight. Like I said, we only do 5 of them tonight because again, I'm feeling under the weather. You can kind of hear it in my voice, and my throat is done. Throat is done. It's done. And it is now officially after midnight. We've survived. Well, if you're on the East Coast, you survived Friday the 13th. So for my East Coast viewers, congratulations. We've all survived our Friday the 13th. It's over. But yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna have some throat coat tea when I bought some of that from the store. So thanks, Katie, for reminding me. But yeah, I'm gonna be at VidCon next week, so hopefully I'll see a bunch of you guys there. Um, I'll be speaking on Saturday. I'll be one of the last sessions on the creator track. So I'm doing the last day, and I'm doing the last session on the last day on the creator track. So hopefully I'll see you guys there. I'm gonna fly in Friday morning. I'm gonna leave Sunday evening. So after I speak on Saturday, I might try and do something for my birthday with whoever's still around. And so, yeah, that's the current plan. That's the current plan. But other than that, shout out to our friends over at 1 of 10. Can't forget about them. Appreciate our friend and sponsor 1 of 10. Always a fan of the channel. We do these on Fridays, even though I'll be at VidCon on Friday with a time zone change. I'm going to figure out some way to still do the channel reviews. So we'll do that next week. Hopefully we'll have 10 slots like we normally do next week. I just have to figure everything out. We may or may not have time to do 10 slots. As you know, that takes almost twice as long, but we'll see what we can do. But I definitely appreciate everybody who submitted their channels for reviews. We had some really interesting ones tonight. We got them into the spreadsheet. We're going to be keeping track of these, and we will watch your progress and careers with great interest. Because we've been tracking all the channels that have been doing reviews. Um, Katie, when we can, let's create a column in the reviews where we also get the email that they have listed in their about section. That way, if I ever want to send them a coupon code for one of my products and everything like that, we can get them a discount on one of the starter kits or something like that. We can do that for the people who do the channel reviews. We can get them a discount and coupon code on the starter kits. Just in the sheet from now on, if we can have a column and we can paste the email they list in their about section, that'll help with just sending them those coupons. So that'd be cool. Oh, already on the list to add? Great. Thank you. Thank you. So that'd be cool. But yeah, appreciate all of you guys. If you check out oneof10.com, they do a lot of great things that a lot of the other YouTube tools don't. They're a more modern YouTube tool. They have a title generator, they have a thumbnail generator for some of you who struggle with that specifically. They can also help you with research in your niche. They are very sophisticated. They're the best tool that I've seen for what they do right now. I've been using them with a lot of my clients. And one thing I definitely think you should look at is the fact that you can take inspiration from some of the other channels that are being successful in your niche, and you can actually make bookmarks of the thumbnails and use them as an inspiration, kind of like making a Pinterest board, kind of like making a Pinterest board of YouTube thumbnails. And I think that that's actually a really good idea to make a collection like that. So definitely check out oneof10.com. If you use code Roberto at checkout, they give you 20% off on your plan. So that's something they did for us. So shout out to oneof10.com. Make sure you're checking them out. Right now, in addition to my book, Create Something Awesome, I have a second book that I'm writing that's going to be released probably the end of October, but you can pre-order it now. If you're someone who's read and benefited from the first book, you absolutely want to pre-order this second book. It's going to focus on creator monetization, all the ways you can make money in the creator economy, but also the business side of the creator economy and what it takes to run a business successfully as a content creator. And it doesn't just address YouTube, it addresses podcasters, streamers, even online writers. And it's really in depth. The book is almost done now. The manuscript's almost done. I'm 40,000 out of 60,000 words in my manuscript. So we're knocking that out. And it's most likely coming out in August of 2025. Sorry, not August. What did I say August? October, I meant October of 2025. I'll be sending it off to the editor in then. I'll be sending it off to my editor in August at this rate. They've got 20,000 more words to write. But you know, I think that you guys will benefit tremendously. There's some people that one of the things that they do to learn is actually read. And I think when you read about a subject, it's one of the deeper ways to learn. Watching videos is great. Reading often can be better for some people. So would definitely recommend that. It's been a blast hanging with you guys tonight doing these channel reviews. I've got to go make some tea and get some rest. And I got to do that if I want to still have a voice. So we will catch you next time. Thank you to all the mods for holding it down. Thank you to everybody who was in the chat. You are all great. I will see you next week. And other than that, you're going to learn a little bit more about Awesome Creator Academy. And yes, Alex, at some point, probably do something. Even if it's on my other channel, I might revive my gear guide channel to do something with a gimbal setup video. But we definitely will be doing a new workshop coming up that's on the business side of YouTube. We usually do workshops on Wednesdays. That will be scheduled, so you guys will see it in my live stream tab, and we'll have that scheduled up for you guys. We're going to do a 6-week workshop on the business side of content creation in YouTube, so you definitely want to stay tuned for that. But you're going to learn a little bit more about Awesome Creator Academy and what we offer there. One of the best products I think we've offered recently is the Creator Prompts product. It's only $9 if you want to support that way. And this one gives you 200 prompts that you can use in ChatGPT as a content creator for productivity, organization, and ideation. So definitely recommend that as a cheap, affordable product. We also have our free Creator Foundations course, but you're also going to learn about the Academy Pro group here at the end of the stream. So stay awesome, and I will see all of you next week. Take care. Becoming a content creator can be a very lonely process and adventure, but it doesn't have to be. When I first got started going from 0 to 100,000 subscribers, I had to do it all by myself. I didn't have a community of like-minded and like-hearted creators to talk to or to ask for advice, and I certainly didn't have a mentor to guide me along the way. I built the Awesome Creator Academy Pro group because when I was getting started, what would have meant the world to me is not to have to struggle alone when it comes to being a full-time content creator. If I had had a community of creators that I could talk to and share information with, I would have avoided a lot of mistakes in my early career, and there would have been opportunities with brand deals where I would have gotten a better understanding of how to negotiate, and I wouldn't have undersold myself. I wouldn't have been taken advantage of in those early situations. So in the Awesome Creator Academy Pro group, myself and our co-instructor Andy Rivera, we meet twice a week for office hours with our creators, and we share information, we talk about how we're building our creator businesses, and we offer constructive criticism and critique on the things that we're working on for our projects. You'll be part of a community of usually around 100 like-minded creators who are taking this seriously just like you are. You'll also have all access as a pro group member to all of our past, present, and future courses, training, templates, digital downloads, and swipe files. You have full access to our creator blueprints where you'll see our systems and the frameworks that we use to execute. You always fall or rise to the standard of your systems. A lot of people really underestimate how important that is. We have digital download templates that can help you so you don't have to start with a blank canvas. These done for you files are actually incredibly helpful, especially for things like your thumbnails, your media kits, and anything you need for your branding as a content creator to look professional. We have email swipe files that help you with reaching out to brands. We have great information in helping you price yourself and build your packages appropriately. And remember, as part of the pro group, you have the opportunity to ask questions from myself and all the other creators participating. And so this means that if you need to ask questions about negotiation or a brand deal, there's something you're not sure about, you're trying to find a better monetization opportunity with merch or affiliates, you have people who have done it before, who are already making money that you can reach out to for advice. As I said, when I was starting out and I was flying solo, this is the thing that I wish I'd had the opportunity to be a part of, and it would have made all the difference in the world in helping me be an even more successful content creator. If you have questions, you can always reach out via support. We're happy to help you figure out if the pro group is right for you. Also, we do have the opportunity if you become a VIP member, if you also would like quarterly one-on-one coaching with me directly. Now go out there and create something awesome today, and hopefully we'll see you in the pro group. Take care.